Right, so for nice planting, we're going nice and simple. Again, we're going to be planting 2 Cochitzapotl, which is the white sapote, Casimiroa edulis, which is also called the Mexican apple. This is probably the most commonly planted sapote in Zambia, and as far as I know, it's the only one with invasion potential currently. This is quite a tolerant tree once established. I do think the 3 that I planted earlier in the season probably will come back, having dug one up thinking it was probably dead and found very lively root system. I do think there will hopefully be some growth before New Year's, but we will see. But even if not, I do want to have 3 of them to count by the end of the year, because these are a fantastic tree. They're a nice big tree. They are a good way of adding a little bit of bulk, and they add a little bit more chemical diversity to the area anyway, because we don't have many big roos that I can plant where I don't irrigate them. So these are going, first off, one is going by a row of malinas that I planted a few years back to make a windbreak and also hopefully eventually timber and charcoal. And so this one will be getting a decent amount of shade during the early part of the dry season. The malinas will eventually drop their leaves, which will be an issue possibly, but there are other things in amongst them which should hopefully be enough to shelter it, and hopefully by the end of the rains this should have had enough time to settle in a bit. And again, as I said, they do have a certain amount of invasion potential here, which does mean they are pretty tolerant in unirrigated settings, even with quite a lot of stress, hopefully. So this is going to be getting a nice big piece of Dracaena fragrance as a marker on the currently exposed side, the side that will be getting the most intense sun at this time of year. We're also going to be putting a piece of the Alocameroni in there as well to give a little bit more shelter around the base, and some pieces of Kalinko, Fetch and Koi. I'm going to be doing very much the same for the second planting. The difference is we've already got a Dracaena in there. I will say the reason I use Alocameroni and Kalinko, Fetch and Koi quite so much is, although I do have other aloes and other Kalinkos, these 2 are very, very hardy, and in warm weather they seem to root just about everywhere. And I'm fairly sure at this temperature I could root them even directly in water, so it's alright, I find, to put them into fairly saturated soils, whereas something like Aloe arborescens can be a bit sulky about going in very wet, even though it does tend to fall over and then reroot. And then some of the other aloes that I don't really use much, like the Dorothea, are quite sensitive about that, so you really don't want to plant them in such a wet hole as I'm using today. So that should be everything for tonight. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and if you haven't enjoyed it, thank you for watching anyway. Please tune in again tomorrow, because we'll be planting something different. It will not be this again. Not sure what it will be though, but we will see.